Our country is in a real crisis about what we stand for and what is tolerable in public debate. This is about truth and facts and reality. It's a crisis of leadership, and it's about the way large numbers of people in our country either don't understand what our country should stand for or they outright oppose it. At the core of our values is respect for peace, freedom, democracy and the rule of law. Not difficult concepts for most Australians to sign up to, surely. But the nationwide anti-Israel and pro-Palestinian protests over the weekend showed we have a problem on this front. Proponents will say that these protests were compassionate, they were morally virtuous, they were marching to stop children and civilians being killed in Gaza. But the reality of the protests was very different. It always has been since the day after the October the 7th atrocities nearly 2 years ago, when people took to the streets of Sydney and then to the forecourt of the Opera House to celebrate the slaughter of more than 1,200 innocent Israelis in the most vile and barbaric way imaginable. And while most of the people who marched in Brisbane and other parts of the country yesterday would have said they were backing a morally righteous cause calling for peace, their claim just doesn't bear up to the slightest bit of scrutiny. Firstly, these protests don't fly the Australian flag or the Israeli flag. They mainly fly the flag of the non-existent state of Palestine, essentially backing the cause that the Hamas terrorists used to start this war with their grotesque violence. These are the Hamas terrorists who still hold hostages and refuse to end a war they can't possibly win. Yet nowhere at the protests do you see signs denouncing Hamas, demanding that Hamas lays down its weapons. Nowhere in these protests do we see banners demanding the release of hostages. No, they all demand that Israel stops attacking Hamas. They demand that Israel leaves Hamas in charge. That's just the reality, isn't it? If these were protests for peace, they would focus on hostages. They would wear yellow ribbons and they would demand that Hamas stops the killing and ends the daily war crime of holding 50 hostages, 20 alive, another 30 bodies as bargaining chips they're held. That's how sick Hamas is. And if you're a protester who believes this description doesn't sit well with you, then stop joining these protests, because that is what they are. This is the cause you are aligning with. Start another protest if you like, a real peace protest, one that denounces Hamas, that